good afternoon, my fishing brethren out here on the old brown boat getting ready to go to the lake tomorrow. I'm doing a video collaboration tomorrow, first one in Pastoral Homestead history, doing it with Southwest Angling. So I'll leave a I'll leave a link in the description below today, and then also tomorrow when we get that video uploaded, I'll be sure to give you all of his information. But right now I'm just out here trying to get all my rods situated. I had a tournament this weekend, and we got first place. So, and let me clarify, somebody called me out on it last time. We didn't fish a tournament, we fished a club tournament, and there is a difference. So definitely not as many boats, it's not quite as big of a deal, and we're always fishing against the same guys, you know each other's strengths and weaknesses and blah blah blah. So anyway, a club tournament, but we did win finally, and we won by quite a lot, by about 3.5 pounds, and so it was a great tournament for us. Caught some really nice smallmouth off a hump to kind of solidify that win, so I had a good time. But speaking of that, what I wanted to do was kind of ask the question about some fishing etiquette issues. So a couple of weeks ago, my dad and I were out fishing, and we were back in this cove, and we caught, and it was the afternoon, it was the evening, we were about to go in, and we caught some really nice largemouth. So two or three right in a row, and one was probably close to 5.5, maybe even 6 pounds, really nice fish. And so the next morning we got up, and naturally we wanted to go check that area out again. And so we drove over there. Now this cove is of course is triangular, and it goes back to the back, and it kind of curves around into the creek channel. And on the far end of that cove, on the other side from where we were fishing, was another gentleman, and he was already there, already fishing. And so we very quietly drove on the other side away from him, so gave him plenty of room. We went to the very back of the cove, and we fished out on the opposite side. So he was on one side fishing in, and we went to the back and fished the opposite side coming out. And it looked like it really perturbed him a little bit, and he kind of huffed and puffed a little bit, and then he when we had fished about halfway out, he had a really nice Ranger boat, by the way, and he turned on his sound system and played Merle Haggard. I mean, granted, it was Merle Haggard, so I didn't mind just a whole lot, but he played it really loud. And then when he left, he gunned it out of there and just really took off. You could tell he was aggravated. So I kind of questioned myself, like, hey, did I do something wrong here? Should I have waited on him? Should I have blah, blah, blah? And, the excuses, or not excuses, the explanations and what you go through and all of that good stuff. So that's the first situation. And then the second situation was yesterday at the tournament. We had found this hump, and it had produced for us some pretty nice fish already, and it was early in the morning, and we'd been on that hump, and we got off of it about 50 yards, and so the hump was offshore probably 200 yards, and that's not true, it was offshore about 100 yards. And so when we came back to the shore to fish around this little bank, it was probably a 75-yard move, something like that, probably closer to 50. So he'd moved off the hump about 50 yards. Well, there was another boat across the way, and he had kind of been, scoping us out a little bit, if you will. And well, he started moseying over there whenever we got off of it. Now we're still pretty close, within like I said, within 50 yards. And so we saw him coming over, and so we kind of booked it back to our spot because we didn't want to lose that to him. And he got right up on us, and then he asked us for permission. Hey, do you mind if I throw in here a little bit? I know it's a community hole, and a lot of people know about it. And if you don't mind, I'll just I'll spend a moment here throwing it into the same spot if you guys don't mind. And my partner, who's the owner of the boat, and who's the guy that makes the decisions in a team tournament, he just said, you know what, we caught a couple of really nice fish here, and we don't think that we want to give it up, and we're a little protective of it right now, and so we'll get off of it here within an hour or so, and you can come back and fish it if you want. And you can tell that the guy, he wasn't just real happy with that answer, and I give him credit for even asking in the first place, but really the question comes down to, should you even have asked in the first place? Was it something that you should have done? So anyway, a couple of ethics questions for you guys. What do you do? What do you do? How do you handle it whenever somebody is on a fishing spot that you want to fish? Or how do you handle it whenever you're trying to fish a spot and you want to be respectful, but you also want to go in there and fish that spot? I'm genuinely curious. I'm kind of new to this whole boat etiquette thing. And growing up, we weren't serious fishermen. We weren't tournament fishermen. So it didn't really matter all that much. If somebody was in your spot and they wanted it, and there wasn't any sense in crowding them. But now, as I'm getting a little more competitive in my fishing, if I want to go fish a hole, you know, when you're on the other side of the cove, I don't think it's that big of a deal to slip in there and fish the other side. I'm not going to fish right next to you. And I kind of just take the attitude of, I want to do to others that I would have them do unto me, you know, that sort of thing, the golden rule of bass fishing, if you will. And I can't see me being aggravated if somebody was fishing the other side of the cove. I can see me being aggravated, and I was aggravated, that someone would ask to fish the same hole that we were fishing. So anyway, just a couple of quick questions. On that note, thank you guys for your viewership and your subscribing and all of that stuff. I really appreciate it. Take a moment to like this video, and most importantly, leave me your opinion in the comments. Take a moment, write those things out. I'm always curious to hear about you guys and what you have to think. So like I said, man, first place tournament yesterday was really cool, and something I've been chasing for a while, and I'll fill you in on all of that good stuff later. But it's been really good. So guys, thank you so much for your viewership. I really appreciate it. God bless y'all. Have a great, safe afternoon. We'll catch you next time. Well, I'm out here working on all these rods, and it's so nice outside, and I've got a local IPA that I've been really enjoying. It's really good. This is the B.A.S.S Brewing Company. It's a company right here in Albuquerque that brews, and they're trying to kind of go on a national level. And to be honest with you, they've won some competitions, and it's really good. If you're a beer fan, I don't know if it's available in your area, but you Albuquerque guys, you New Mexico guys, you can definitely find it around. If you like IPAs, man, check it out. It's really good. But I got some time, and I thought I'd just go ahead and fill you in on the tournament. So we caught like 13.7 ounces, and so, 13 pounds 7 ounces. It was a really good turnout, and pre-fish, we had talked about fishing these humps. We talked about fishing offshore so we could find some bigger fish. And we didn't really do it in pre-fish. We didn't really feel it, and we were trying to find them shallow, and we really didn't. I think we caught all day of pre-fish. I think we caught 2 bass that were keepers, and so we didn't find them in pre-fish. So we decided on a whim, and let me rephrase that. My partner, the smart one of the two of us, Mr. Earl, he decided that we were going to fish a little hump offshore first thing in the morning. And I had never really fished it before. I knew it was there. I had talked about it. I'd seen it on the grass before, but I'd never fished it. He said, trust me, it's a good hump. We'll go out there and we'll fish it, and we'll see if we can get anything. And the size is what we're really looking for. And so, man, I've got a lot to learn about tournament fishing, so I just thought, well, we'll follow his gut, man. That's the way to do it. So we went over there, and right off the bat, man, he caught a really nice smallmouth, probably 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds. Really nice way to start. And it was early too, like within the first or second cast. And we thought, man, this is going to be good stuff. Now, I was fishing a couple of different things. I was fishing a tube, and I was also fishing some finesse stuff. So I was throwing a Ned rig. Now, if you don't know what a Ned rig is, just a little bitty worm and it's a tiny worm, about that big, and it's a straight worm, and it's on a jig head that's called a mushroom jig head. And I'll show you that tomorrow, because we're going to be fishing with some of those things. Now look, I've been fishing this particular rig a long time, and I'm pretty confident with it. I'm pretty confident with my finesse fishing abilities. And I wasn't arrogant about it, but I thought, if I can throw this out there, I'm going to catch fish, and I know I'm going to catch fish. So there wasn't necessarily arrogance, but there was a little bit of anticipation that I knew I was going to catch some fish. Well, catch some fish I did. The first fish I caught, I set the hook, and it felt like there was a log on the end of my rod. I mean, it bent over, and it was moving, the head was I mean, it was a huge fish, and some reason my drag wasn't set right, and I got it up to the boat, and it managed to pull me down, and I had to follow it down because my drag wasn't set correctly, and I lost him. And I never got to see it. I don't know how big it was, but it was definitely over 3 pounds, maybe closer to 4 or 5, and it was a big fish. Shook that one off. You know, when you catch fish, when you lose a fish, you just gotta calm down, shake it off, and you gotta keep going. You just gotta keep fishing. So I threw out a couple more times, and I caught another one. Not quite as nice a fish, but a good fish. And she came up, and it was a smallmouth. I could see the brown on her back, so it was a nice smallmouth, probably, like I said, 3.5 pounds, somewhere in there. And she jumped, and she threw it. And so within the course of 15 minutes on this Ned rig that I'm really confident with, I threw 2 big fish. And the rest of the day, man, I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over it. I was making stupid mistakes after that. I couldn't get my mind back to where it needed to be. And it wasn't until about 1 or 2 o'clock when I happened to catch 2 fish that would cull some other fish. So I caught 2 nice keeper fish. It kind of brought me back a little bit, but I'm telling you, all day long I struggled with that, and it really messed me up mentally. But luckily, I got a partner that's been doing this a long time, and I was making dumb mistakes, and he was just like, calm down, you'll get it figured out, and got mad at me a couple of times. What's wrong with you? I almost threw a fish back that was legal because I thought it wasn't legal, and I just wasn't thinking right. So going along with the whole fishing philosophy thing, not only the etiquette part, but also the mental part. How do you stay positive in those moments? And tournament fishing is relatively a new thing for me, and it was really tough, man. It was really tough to shake those off. I was watching Gerald Swindle the other day, and he mentioned that bass fishing is the losingest sport that you'll ever participate in. And man, that is the truth. It's the losingest sport that you'll ever participate in. So I think he made the reference that Kevin Van Dam, if you gave him a baseball statistic on the amount of tournaments that he won, so a batting average, if you will, he'd bat a .09. Can you imagine a Major League Baseball player batting .09? It's just unheard of. So anyway, I just thought I'd fill you guys in. It was interesting. We did get first place, but it wasn't because of me. It was because of my partner. And sometimes you got to eat a little humble pie, and I definitely did yesterday. I still got a lot to learn, but I'm enjoying the learning process. So I think that's the most important. So thanks for sticking around for part 2. God bless y'all. Again, have a great, safe afternoon and a wonderful work week. And we'll post a video tomorrow about our trip back to the same lake, and hopefully we can get on some of those bigger fish.